Hey folks, it's Jim from the Rewind here to review the Best Picture winner, Amadeus, adapted from Peter Shaffer's stage play and directed by Milos Forman. Set in 1823, composer Antonio Salieri, played by F. Murray Abraham, is placed in an asylum after attempting suicide for killing Mozart in 1791. Visited by a young priest seeking his confession, Salieri opens up recalling the events that led up to this and his relationship with the promising Mozart, played by Tom Hulce. A young man, Salieri fell in love with music as opposed to his father, who passed away, allowing Salieri to pursue composing. Taken as an act of God, Salieri devoted himself to a life of virtue and celibacy in exchange to be a vessel for God through music. Salieri, years later, is an adult in the cultural elite of Vienna, the city of musicians, where he is a well-respected, well-off court composer for the Holy Roman Emperor Joseph II, played by Jeffrey Jones. Eager to meet Mozart, who was taught from an early age with his father's influence, he witnesses Mozart's behavior as vulgar, obnoxious, immature, and yet he is gifted. He's so gifted, Salieri believes Mozart was the voice of God, touched by his divine power.
This was no composition by a performing monkey. This was a music I'd never heard. Filled with such longing, such unfulfillable longing. It seemed to me that I was hearing the voice of God. Excuse me.
His disdain only increases when he meets Mozart for the first time, using the March of Welcome, to which Mozart memorizes, critiques, and improves it.
The rest is just the same, isn't it? It doesn't really work, does it? Did you try? Shouldn't it be a bit more? Or this? This? Yes. Better? What do you think?
At a party and in disguise, his ego is diminished even more after he makes a request that Mozart plays the music of Salieri. The film doesn't look purely from Salieri's point of view. Adapting from his own play, Shaffer put a greater emphasis on Mozart and his own troubles. When he's not struggling to justify his work to the Italians of the Emperor's court, he finds he's making very little to match his expenses of partying, so much that his wife, Constance, tries to enlist the help of Salieri at one point. Lastly, there's Mozart's father, Leopold, who did not approve of his marriage to Constance and is worried about him in Vienna and wants him to return home.
These gentlemen are from Salzburg.
Salzburg? We were just talking about Salzburg.
Wolfie, your father is dead.
Caring deeply for his father's approval, Mozart is heartbroken when he hears his father has passed away, inspiring the opera called Don Giovanni.
There on the stage stood the figure of a dead commander, and I knew. Only I understood that the horrifying apparition was Leopold, raised from the dead.
Jealous of Mozart and angry at God, Salieri sets out to kill the jester and defy his lord that created his longing, yet denied him the talent after the compromises he made.
And then, in that silence, music. A divine music bursts out over them all. A great mass of death. Requiem Mass for Wolfgang Mozart, composed by his devoted friend, Antonio Salieri. Oh, what sublimity, what depth, what passion in the music. Salieri has been touched by God at last, and God forced to listen. Powerless to do so, powerless to stop it. I, for once, in the end, laughing at him. was the actual killing. How does one do that?
Disguising himself once again in a mask and costume similar to the one Leopold wore at a party, Salieri's plan is in progress. He commissions Mozart to write a Requiem Mass in the promise that Mozart will be rewarded greatly. Unsure of how he will kill Mozart, Salieri will use the Requiem and pass it off as his own to achieve the success and fame he was deprived of. Amadeus is a masterpiece. Shot mostly in Prague as one of the few cities that recaptures old Vienna, Amadeus is an example of terrific production and costume design. The film never gets too stuffy though, thanks in part to the beautiful cinematography and the masterful editing by Michael Chandler. And of course the music. The music, using primarily many of Mozart's work, is a character in itself. You don't have to be a fan of opera or of Mozart's work to appreciate it, thanks in part to Foreman's visceral direction and Schaeffer's detailed script through the words of Salieri and his descriptions.
He had simply written down music already finished in his head. Page after page of it, as if he were just taking dictation. And music, finished as no music is ever finished. Displace one note, and there would be diminishment. Displace one phrase, and the structure would fall.
While the supporting cast brings a lot of color to the picture, they can't quite compare to the duo of Abraham and Holst. Occasionally sporting a pink wig and an infectious laugh, Holst is a reckless rock star as Mozart, but we go to sympathize with him when witnessing his love for his wife, son, and even his concerning father. Abraham, who won the Academy Award for Best Actor, plays the young and the old Salieri just right, and I'm not one for old age makeup most of the time. Arguably a monster, his dilemma is relatable. It's the idea of appreciating a talent or an acquired skill, but not having it of your own. To be the one who truly understands the talent of someone else, while others might not, but to still be envious regardless of that person's ability. The film doesn't just focus on these composers and their creations, but God and his creations, one with remarkable gifts and the other blessed with mediocrity. Many of the Best Picture winners within the 80s were less than impressive, with Amadeus being a rare exception. That's it from the Movie Wine. Have a good day, folks. I leave you off with this beautiful line reading from Woody Allen's Vicky Cristina Barcelona, which reminded me a lot of Salieri's own Despair.
Do you play music?
No, I just have to come face to face with the fact that I am not gifted, you know. I can appreciate art and I love music, but it's sad, really, because I feel like I have a lot to express and I am not gifted.